Hi friends, welcome back to my training series. I hope you're well, I hope you're hanging in there. Hi, I'm really sorry I didn't have a video for you last week. I wasn't able to share one because we were driving back from Montana. We were in Butte cheering on and supporting 10 friends who took on the Copper Kings 100 Fat Ass.
You're up.
Woo! We just wanted to make sure we'd get over 100. Yes. Good job!
Hey, Jaden!
Woo-woo! Awesome!
The Copper Kings 100 is a run that I've been developing for the last few years. In the last 2 years, we've tested the course Fat Ass style. I ran it last year, and this year we had an aid station for runners, and so I was just pretending to be the race director. And we had 10 runners. It was a lot of fun, and we had a great time. We have applied for a permit from the U.S. Forest Service, and hopefully the stars will align for a permitted event in June 2025. If you're interested in learning more, visit copperkings100.com, and you can join the mailing list there. So that travel kind of got in the way of a video last week, but a bunch of other stuff has been going on too. In the last video I did make, I mentioned this amazing book that I wanted to give out to a runner who was doing the Bigfoot 200. And I did have 4 people who responded with interest, but only one of them is running Bigfoot this year. So Lynette McDougall, congratulations, that's you. Email me your mailing address and I'll ship this book out to you. I hope that you enjoy reading about other people's experiences about the course in this book. It'll certainly give you some good intel for your run. One more thing before we get into it. It has been asked a few times how I got into ultra running, how I got into especially long distance ultra running. Essentially, people have asked me, what is my origin story? And months ago, I did promise that I would answer this question in a video. And I have finally recorded it, and I finally have it ready to share with you. But we decided to make it a part of a larger project. Because many runners have shared with me that my content and my journey is inspiring, especially because I'm a regular person, juggling life along with running, we've decided that we want to try to celebrate more regular people. Our sport is just filled with inspiring regular people, and I want to share some of these stories of these people who are finishing their first ultra, as well as completing new distances. So I'm going to be including my origin story as the first episode in this new series that we're calling Ultra Origins. Hi friends, welcome to We've recorded several episodes already, and we will be releasing them once a week. So do check out the link in the description below to start following along on this new series we call Ultra Origins, where we'll be talking to lots of different people about their story. And I think you'll be really inspired by what people are doing as they're getting into ultras and getting into longer and longer distances. Okay, let's talk about this last week's training. On Monday, I was assigned 40 to 50 minutes of easy running. I ran an easy road loop, finishing 4.4 miles in 44 minutes. On Tuesday, I was assigned some fartlek-style speed-ups. After a 40-minute warm-up, I did 6 times 30 seconds fast with 2.5 minutes easy in between, followed by a 20-minute cool-down. I ended up with 6.3 miles in 78 minutes. And then after work, I joined my regular Tuesday yoga class over Zoom. On Wednesday, I was assigned 90 minutes of easy running, as well as some basic strength training. Even though I was assigned easy running, I decided to run this effort just a little bit harder than easy. I had a hankering that I kind of wanted to feel like I had worked hard, and it did feel good to actually get my heart rate up a little bit higher. I chose a route that was a little bit less interesting visually, but it did have some more climbing. I ended up running for 91 minutes. I did 7.6 miles with 1,430 feet of gain. And then when I got home, I did the basic strength workout. On Thursday, I was assigned 40 minutes of either easy running or rowing, so I chose to get on my rower and watch some YouTube. Friday this week was designated as a rest day. And then on Saturday, I was assigned 3 to 3.5 hours of steady endurance running. nettles, ouch. Ah, so many nettles. So many nettles. Ah, there's a big one. Yikes. I ended up running for 3 hours and 15 minutes, completing 13.6 miles and 1,900 feet of gain. Finally, on Sunday, I was assigned 90 minutes of easy running. I finished with 6.9 miles and 770 feet of gain. Overall, this was a great week of training, getting the running mixed in with the busyness of life, also recovering from our sleepless weekend at the Copper Kings 100. I finished the week with 8 hours and 17 minutes of running for a total of 38.7 miles. Okay, let's jump into some Q&A. I have several questions that were left since the last video. Forward-looking mentions about some ultra shuffling styles of movement and asks if I have considered my gait when training. I am kind of familiar in general with shuffling. I don't think I've heard of the young shuffle or the military shuffle, but certainly shuffling is something that I think we do a lot in longer ultras. I don't think too much about it really in terms of my training, or even really I don't think about it when I'm running. I've kind of taken an attitude during my runs and during my events that I just want to do a pace that feels right at that moment. Sometimes the pace that I want to do is a walk. Sometimes the pace I want to do is a run. And sometimes the pace I want to do is somewhere in between. And shuffling certainly is a nice, efficient way to move without spending too much energy. But to answer your question, I haven't really done too much thought about it or trained specifically for anything in that way. But if you're interested in doing long distance endurance sports, certainly finding efficient ways to move is really valuable. So it might be something to check out. Keon asks about my approach for preparing for races at altitude. Well, boy, I don't necessarily do too much specific altitude training, but I do try to get to altitude several times in the year just for various things that life presents. And so when I'm at those altitudes, I'll try to get running in, whether I'm at that place for a run or I'm there for some other reason and I can get a training run in. I think it is good for the body to get exposure to higher altitudes, even just for a little bit of a training run, just to kind of get used to it. And everyone says that when you're going to an actual event, there's sort of two approaches you can take. The first is show up just almost like last minute, right before race time, and not giving your body any moment to acclimatize. That's one way to go. And then the other way to go is more extreme, where perhaps you arrive a few weeks ahead of time to let your body become a bit more acclimatized. But it can be tougher to show up maybe a couple or few days ahead of time because your body won't have enough time to sort of get used to the altitude. And you can also have a real difficulty sleeping at high altitude, so you may not get much rest in those couple of nights before the event. I guess my advice is just get to altitude when you can for training runs and get your body at least used to the idea of it. And even though you may not be able to get significant training at 10,000 feet, having some training at higher altitudes will get your body used to some of those sensations. And when you get to the actual event, you can suffer through the super high altitude stuff until you get back down to lower altitude again. So I wish you luck getting into Leadville, and good luck. Chad Higgins asks about my favorite post-run meal. I don't necessarily have a very favorite meal in general or a post-run meal, but I have been more recently focusing on trying to get a lot of protein in, especially shortly after a run. So as of late, when I get back home from my runs, I've been having a protein shake. I've been also trying to get in perhaps some scrambled eggs and some potatoes for some carbs. Some sort of scramble or breakfast burrito that has a lot of protein and carbs after a run has been my go-to as of late. So I guess that's going to be my answer for that one. Chelsea asks if I do ice baths after long runs. Actually, I don't, but that doesn't mean I haven't. Several years ago, when I was starting out in ultras, I did experiment with ice baths, and I actually thought that they were pretty effective. I know these days people love to hate on ice bath practitioners, and people question if it's a valid science thing or not. I mean, I have no idea about the science. I do know that for me, it seemed like it worked. When I would do a really big, either run like a 50K or do a long run, I would get home and I would put like, what would I do, like 60 pounds of ice or something. I put a lot of ice into the tub, and then it took me a while to build up to it, but then sit in there for a while. And I did find back then that it did help the muscles recover and help there to be less fatigue or less pain in the muscles after the run. So I did do it for a while. I haven't done it lately. Just I think I'm out of practice, and I think I'm scared. One of the problems with those ice baths, and even just I used to plunge my ankle into ice as well to help against inflammation. And anytime I've tried to do anything with ice recently, it's just been too painful to last more than just a few seconds. So I'm kind of out of practice on it. But I found that it worked for me back then. And yeah, no shade if you want to try it. Mateo liked the video for channel members about how I make wall maps for course study and asks how much time I spend looking at the map and other race info. I don't get to spend as much time doing race sort of mental prep or planning as much as I would like. I used to spend more time, I think, on that, but these days I've just got so many things going on. In terms of looking at the map, it is more of like an osmosis sort of thing for me, where I just keep walking past that map several times a day and just glance at it and get to know the various sections, you know, as I walk past it throughout the weeks leading up to the event. In terms of other stuff like reading the runner's guide or researching aid stations and drop bag locations, I'll really only spend maybe a few hours doing that kind of a thing. I do like to print out as much information as I can and put it into a binder, so that way right before the event I can do some last minute study, maybe in the hotel room or in the vehicle right before the race. But for me it's something that I try to spend a little bit of time over a long period of time, so that it's sort of like trickling the information into me, and I'm getting to know it over that several weeks. So not a lot of time necessarily all at once, but I do try to let it, slowly trickle into my head. Sue asks about how the cold mashed potatoes were that I showed in my long run a couple weeks ago. They were really great, actually, and the fact that they were cold was something that I was nervous about when I first, heard about Jose telling us this idea, because I think I've only ever had mashed potatoes when they were mixed with, hot or boiling water. But having it mixed with cold water was totally fine. It wasn't bad in any way. I really liked it, and in fact, since that long run, I think I've done 2 or maybe 3 more long runs where I've brought with me the packet of mashed potatoes so I can keep practicing it. In fact, on Saturday when I did my long run, I had a bladder with just pure water in the back of my pack, and so this time I practiced but I practiced putting water into the mashed potato packet from the hose of the bladder, so that way I didn't have to carry a dedicated water bottle just for the mashed potatoes. Anyway, it's been working out great. I've been enjoying the flavor. And by the way, Grennan shared in a comment that there's a new product called Tater Boost that's apparently out now. And so I'm kind of curious about checking it out, but I am surprised how expensive it is. I think it's more than $6 per packet, whereas this Idahoan mashed potato stuff that I got from Amazon, I think it's less than $2 a package. So it's quite a lot cheaper than the fancy new Tater Boost, but there's lots of products out there to try. I don't have any other dry foods that you can add water to in terms of something that I can suggest. So yeah, but certainly I've been happy with mashed potatoes so far. Patrick has had to defer a race due to a respiratory infection and asks if I've had to defer a race entry before. Patrick, I'm really sorry to hear you got sick and that you had the pause your race training and miss this one. I hope that you're feeling better soon and that you can do this race next time it's offered, and also just get back into it. Personally, I have not yet, thankfully, had to defer a race due to any kind of sickness or injury. It would be obviously pretty frustrating if that happened. Yeah, I just wish you all the best. Get through it. I know that it's hard when you can't train. It's hard on your mental side too, so I'm just wishing you all the best. Lastly, Trey asks about my favorite running shorts and liners. Well, Trey, my favorite running shorts and liners come from Path Projects. I've been fortunate, I guess, to be a brand ambassador for Path Projects. I was part of their original crew of runners that they invited to be ambassadors a few years ago, and I just love their shorts so much. And they have long running pants, which I wear as casual pants a lot of times. I love this hoodie that they have, their T19 hoodie. They have great shirts. But yeah, I primarily run in their liners and in their shorts. I've got quite a few pairs, and I just absolutely love them. My favorite is the Graves. It's the pair of shorts that has pockets, like hand pockets on the front sides. I like to be able to put things in those large hand pockets, or even put my hands in those hand pockets if necessary. But they have other models with other pocket configurations. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Path Projects, so that's my recommendation. Okay, thank you all for the questions this week. If you have questions you'd like me to talk about in next week's video, please put it in the comments below. And a big shout out to the channel members. Thank you so much for your extra support of the channel. Your monthly subscription donations really go a long way to help keep all this going. So thank you very much, channel members. I hope you all have a really great week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye-bye.